Let's also focus on the larger issue of the former President APJ Abdul Kalam withdrawing from the race. Now, their policy may be to challenge the ruling UPA on every stage, but today the NDA finds itself backing a losing cause. With Abdul Kalam gone from the presidential race and its own flock lacking unity, it seems very, very unlikely that any NDA candidate for the post of president will win from here on.
The big three in the presidential poll race. Now they are just two. Former President APJ Abdul Kalam has opted out, despite West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee firmly standing behind him, further straining her ties with the UPA, and many attempts by the BJP to convince him. Shortly after LK Advani spoke to Dr. Kalam for the third time, the former president said in a statement, "My conscience does not permit me to contest. I never aspired for another term, but Mamata Banerjee and other political parties wanted me to be a candidate. But considering the current political situation, I have decided not to contest."
From the day his name was first announced, former President APJ Abdul Kalam has maintained a studied silence, only saying that he will speak when the right time comes. Perhaps that time is today. And in a very simple, austere press statement, he has said that while he is overwhelmed by the kind of support he's seen across political parties, but judging the current political situation, he's decided not to contest the presidential elections 2012.
A huge embarrassment for both the BJP and the Trinamool, who had pinned their hopes on a Pranab versus Kalam contest.
बीजेपी भी एनडीए में एक अंग है और बीजेपी के डिसीजन भी उसमें शामिल होगा.
Mamata Banerjee has done her duty as a responsible leader and responsible citizen of India by proposing the name of APJ Abdul Kalam.
The big question now, does Dr. Kalam's exit bring P.A. Sangma back into the race? The former Lok Sabha Speaker has got the support of the BJD and Jayalalitha. He had also spoken to Mamata Banerjee, who had reiterated her preference for Dr. Kalam. The NDA camp is sharply divided. Its ally, the Janata Dal United, has already made it clear it's all for a consensus. In fact, Nitish Kumar went a step further and praised the UPA's nominee. So did BJP MP Maneka Gandhi.
I think he's an excellent candidate.
The NDA will meet on Tuesday to evolve the crucial consensus within before finalizing its strategy. One man who will be keeping a close watch on that meeting is P.A. Sangma.
Days after the UPA announced the name of Pranab Mukherjee as its candidate for Rashtrapati Bhavan, the NDA has still not been able to come up with its presidential candidate. Some would say this reflects very poorly on an opposition that loses no opportunity in parliament to take on the Congress and the government all the time. In New Delhi with Rahul Srivastav and Kashish, Alok Pandey, NDTV.
All right, lots of critical political developments today. Where does this all take us? What are the indicators over here? On the one hand, you've got the entire race for the post of president. Then you've got the entire set of threats by the Trinamool Congress, all on a day in which our economy seems to be taking yet another hit. There's been Fitch, the credit rating agency, which has downgraded India. With this political uncertainty, where is that taking us? Joining us to discuss so many strands, the Congress's Satyavrat Chaturvedi, from the National Executive of the BJP, Mr. Sheshadri Chari, from the JDU, Mr. K.C. Tyagi, Shopun Dasgupta, well-known journalist with us, Joyanto Ghoshal also with us, and also with us Gurcharan Das. Thank you all very much for joining us. Mr. Das, let me come to you first. A lot of people would think that I'll get to the politics first. But I think today a lot of the political developments that we are seeing comes in the backdrop of the economy being in a terrible situation, in a terrible condition. How much does this contribute to international sentiment on a day in which Fitch has downgraded us?
Well, I mean, it's terrible. The economy is in very bad shape. And frankly, when these things occur, I look to institutional answers. It's all very well to blame the politics of the day, and certainly politics are responsible for some of these things. But the answer really lies in the fact that our economy is still held hostage to too much control with the government on it, with politicians and bureaucrats. And the reforms are meant to reduce that discretion. So that's the sort of answers that we should look at when we see our problems. Then another institutional answer is to encourage more federalism. that even though the central government is very weak and is responsible for the troubles of our economy today, some of the states are actually doing very well. And we need to encourage, already, you know, the chief ministers of states are sometimes more powerful than the prime minister. And so institutionally, how can we push power further to the states? Another institutional answer would be the parties. How do we get parties to collaborate on issues of national interest? And many of the reforms are of national interest, and it takes partly skill, but it takes also institutional mechanisms, mechanisms which would weed out smaller parties. In France and Germany, you have runoffs, you have parties which get less than 5% are punished. And so problem of ours is too many parties, a coalition which is too big and unmanageable. And so, you know, these are judicial delay, a very important part of the reason for corruption.
And that's something, corruption being one of the factors, one of the words used also by Standard & Poor's in the past, when they went and you know, brought. I'll just come back to in a little while from now. We've got quite some time to discuss a lot of these issues. But sir, let me ask you first. You heard Derek O'Brien over there, and you heard the words of the Trinamool Congress that they're mentally prepared to withdraw from the UPA. A lot of people say that this isn't really anymore the race for Raisina Hill, it's also the race to ensure a stable Lok Sabha. If the Trinamool Congress were to withdraw, and they say they're mentally prepared, you would be in a lot of trouble.
Well, I think let's not go on to the assumptive things. Let's talk of the facts as they stand today. The fact of the matter is that Trinamool Congress and Mamata Banerjee still is a constituent of the UPA, and she continues to be a constituent of the UPA. She hasn't denied it. On the contrary, while she was in Delhi, she categorically stated that she on her own isn't going to quit UPA. So therefore, talking about, you know, a little while ago, we heard a few hours ago that some of the ministers of the Trinamool Congress have resigned. It proved to be a false alarm. No, so these kinds of things do not lead to a situation which is very congenial to Indian polity. As far as the Congresses or the UPA government's stability is concerned, I think there should be no doubt in anybody's mind. The Congress enjoys and the UPA enjoys a full majority and a complete majority to run the government for a complete tenure of 5 years, and it will continue to discharge its duties.
Do you have the NDTV Profit app? All the markets, all the news and your own homemade, ready-made portfolio available there for you.
We will right now answer what you should sell, what you should buy when markets are down.
Download at ndtvprofit.com/apps. Get the best app from the channel you trust.